Hi. Hey everyone, welcome to the KerritPod. We're going to jump right in. Today is the day of the NFL draft.
Oh, all right. That's cool. If you're just if you're a listener, you know that I don't care. But if you're new to the show, I'm not a sports guy, but Kevin is, so I listen to what he says because he's always right.
Yeah, and I'm not, which is great.
Kerrit podcast.
Good song.
Yeah, this sounds like something carrots could grow to.
Crunch into us.
What's up, Doc? What are we doing?
I don't know.
Fuck them.
Crunch.
So, fun fact, we are currently off social media, so we are attempting a new distribution method, which is no fanfare whatsoever.
It's working. We're really focusing on our legacy and what it means to us.
Yes, exactly. So specifically, that is, as long as content is there, that's sufficient. Alrighty.
Oh, should I blot out your shirt?
Shit! I'm just gonna take it off.
Yeah, take it off. What's under it?
But yes, blot out the first frames or whatever. Hey,
I did.
Look at this though. That's my alma mater. So you can keep that in because I graduated from there already.
Cool. The other one, I was gonna make a joke, but I can't because then you would know what it is. All right.
Oh, I don't know what that means. Okay.
It doesn't mean anything. Good to see you, bud.
Good to see you too. I see your beard is thicker than mine.
Yeah, I need to trim it, and my hair is still just really
hella long. Holy shit! Yeah. It's so curly that when it gets long, I had no idea it was like. Can you take your hat off for a sec? Actually, do you mind?
Yeah.
Is that weird?
For the YouTube, for all 7 of you on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh my God, you look gorgeous. Oh, it's gorgeous. Oh, I love it. Oh my God, you can do like headbands and ponytails now.
I know. I considered getting a barrette.
Yeah.
Like just.
Well, don't do that.
Why not? Gender's fluid. Fuck it. I'm confident.
Well, that's true. Honestly, if we're going down that route, I'm all about skirts. What's up? I've always loved those. They're so darn comfortable.
It's so interesting that the Scottish get away with it with their kilts.
I know it sucks because I'm Irish, and like I know Braveheart united the Irish against the English, but I don't think that we can just appropriate the culture because we bonded in the 1300s. You know?
Of course you can. They're white. You can appropriate all white culture. Fuck it. It's all interchangeable, right?
Oh boy.
I mean, it's so ironic because that's what white supremacists want. Like the idea of like, wow, why can't I have like white pride? And it's like, because that's white supremacy. You can have Italian pride, you can have Irish pride, you can have Dutch pride. Fuck, you can have Australian pride. It's a continent.
Honestly, you should 100% cut that out of this episode because that's a hilarious joke you can use when you get back on stage.
Well, 4 people, what are they going to start doing comedy and then take my joke? Come on.
Dude,
I get back in August, I'll do that joke.
They're going to realize there's one serial killer listening who's also an aspiring comic. And he's like, okay, because there's so few people listening, I'll kill the 2 hosts. I'll take this one joke and no one will ever know because it's so unpopular. It's the worst idea for a movie ever.
Well, because he'd have 30 seconds of time and then he'd be like, I can't fill the rest of the time. So
this is a sketch. Like, this is a great 5-minute sketch where the guy like kills us and then he's on stage and he does this joke and then he just
no one laughs because he doesn't have my timing.
And then going down a list, and he's like, oh my God, I can see him crossing off people's names that he's murdered, and then he accidentally crossed off the joke as he admits to killing someone on stage because he gets his kill list mixed up with his joke list.
That is great.
I made myself laugh.
Oh, that's funny. Write that down. That's great.
Oh, it's recorded, so as long as that's our legacy.
Yeah.
All good. We don't have to do anything after that.
I've had so many jokes in here. Yeah, I've been toying around with that one for a while because I always hate the idea of that idea. Why can't I have white pride? Well, because yeah. You want to hear another one I was thinking of today?
Yeah, sure.
Because I've always had this one about like as humans evolve and like we don't evolve. Sorry, as time goes on, we create new words. Always like Webster's dictionary or Oxford dictionary. There's always new words going in, and
selfie.
Yeah, selfie, twerking. They actually there's an entry for the cry laughing emoji. Apparently that's a word, even though it's an emoji. Like there's an entry for that. I don't understand. But
that's interesting because I'm sorry, I have to interject. It's interesting because like even in work emails, I'll have like a smiley face sometimes. Like someone will send that as part of an email. And I'm not against it because I think language is fluid. So everything's always transforming and it is evolving and like the way that we communicate. And so it's so interesting that you can now do that and it's accepted. Whereas like 12 years ago, it'd be like, what the hell? Like, no, don't do this.
Well, even one of the things that got me thinking was ain't. You remember how often we were told as children, ain't a word, so I ain't going to say it? First of all, we all know the joke. Like, you just fucking said ain't to tell me not to say it. Several times. Like, that's the joke, yeah. But can we use it now? I mean, if we're introducing new words literally every day into the lexicon, can we use ain't?
I think ain't has been in the dictionary. I think that was actually one of the issues with it not being a word, quote unquote, is because it literally was in the dictionary.
Yeah.
Like it had been used so much, it became part of the dictionary. That's why it's so weird. There are times where like I get frustrated with the way something is said. Like I personally do. Like let's say library is like a really easy one for me.
Yes.
Where I'm like, it's library. Like, come on.
No one says Wednesday.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, you know, I understand their message. I understand their intent. And I could easily just, and I know there are people that aren't angry when they hear it. Like they might identify that there's a missing R, but they might not internalize it like I do. So who gives a shit? You know, like maybe it's a word now, and maybe that's what it is.
Well, I think with this bit, I want to go into like the idea of there's connotation and there's denotation. Denotation is the dictionary definition. Connotation is how the word makes you feel, right? So women, their connotation for the word moist is ew. My buddy Kevin, you hate the word plethora. You hate the word kowtow. These connotations make you feel disgusted. For me, I'm not affected by words. I like to use words that I get shunned for. For instance, agreeance. I'm in agreeance with someone. I looked this up because I typed it in my phone, and agreeance was like spelled wrong. I was like, I know how to spell this word. Agree, A-N-C-E. It's spelled wrong. What the fuck is happening? Is there one E? What's happening? My phone's lying to me because I look it up, and it's a word, but the better word is agreement. And I'm like, I would never use that word. And then I kept looking into things, and like apparently you can make op-ed posts on like dictionary.com or some shit.
Totally.
So
like
people
Wikipedia.
Yeah, but people have basically said that you're what's the word? If you use the word agreeance, you're basically like what's the word I'm trying to think of?
I have no idea where you're going with this.
Like hoity-toity. You think you're above everybody.
Oh, it's bougie. It's
yeah.
You're like a wordophile or whatever.
There you go. Yeah, I fuck these words. But yeah, they basically say that you think you're better than everybody for using the word agreeance. And I'm like, what? What? So if
That sounds like
I don't
a dictionary, like people
It
commenting like you're just a bougie bitch. Like no, it's no.
it sounded like that, but my thing is like I don't think words should have that because we're introducing new words all the time, and you'll look up sometimes where it's like, well, this word is archaic, no one uses it anymore. Fucking bring it back. Like there shouldn't be a stigma on like words that aren't the N word. You know what I mean? Like I don't.
Yeah.
Why can't I say agreeance and not sound like a fucking phony asshole?
Well, the thing too is,
Can you please be in agreeance with me?
I feel like if you did, I don't want to put words in your mouth, and I'm just kind of speculating, but I feel like there technically would be a subtle difference between the two words, agreement and agreeance.
There is.
And I bet you that one works better than the other depending on context.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, they're relatively interchangeable.
Yeah, they are. I just like the other word better, but I feel like...
I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing, though. Like, you know, I guess what I mean is just, like, there's someone saying, like, you're only saying you're in agreement because, like, you want to use, like, those kinds of words. It's like, well, technically, A, it's a word, and B, there are subtle differences. So I'm trying to evoke the meaning of agreeance more so than the meaning of agreement.
Yeah. Anyway, the whole point of this word joke is to get to, I want to start creating words. For instance, if someone with a speech impediment has a secret to tell you, that's called lispering. That's that's the joke. That's what it would lead to. Like I have to keep making like
More
these
words.
I have to make all these points and like make all this funny before I get to that end point.
Would you need more words? Can you just do it with just lispering, or would you'd have to come up with a couple to make it land?
I don't have any other words that I'd invent. I can basically make portmanteaus out of anything, but I don't know. I have another tag for it where I just do an impression of someone with a lisp. So,
see, I thought I was going for the low-hanging fruit, and I was picturing you about to say like someone, let's say, with a stutter. It's a new word. I can't really think of another thing, so I'm just gonna go with like the basic concept, and that's that. So it's like someone who's with a stutter who's, you know, like mad at you, and you just say stupid. So it's like the same word.
Oh yeah.
Of a stutter.
That's fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's one perfect adjective that would work well with, like a repetitive word or something like that. That could make the joke like funnier, because the joke, of course, being that it's just the same word but with a stutter.
Oh, like it's ST hyphen ST hyphen ST
Exactly.
hyphen stutter.
Right. So he's like, what if, like, so instead of whispering with a lisp, it'd be like, not with like shouting with a stutter, or like telling someone to shut up with a stutter, and you just be like, shut up, and it's like one word.
Who are they? Philip Seymour Hoffman and Punch Drunk Love.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
See, he'd be like the catalyst for the creation of this word.
Yes.
It's like C. Philip Seymour Hoffman, Punch Drunk Love. That's what it would say.
Shut. We have a previous Philip Seymour Hoffman episode of this podcast. It's me trying to fart and a little shit came out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's like a year and a half. That's 2 years ago.
Dude, I was still drinking. That's like 2017.
Oh shit, that's 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Time flies. I have to point out
Time flies when you're in a pandemic.
Aren't you? I know, and it stands still. But happy that we got to experience it. Anyways, so
time flies and sinks when you're in a pandemic.
Is that hoodie from like high school, or am I crazy?
It is. It was my dad's.
Isn't this the one with like the mustard stain on it or something?
Ski Vermont. No, someone at a football game had yellow paint.
Yeah, and it's still there. I know who it was too, don't I? I do
too.
Will not name drop, but that's crazy.
Yeah, don't name names, because maybe I'll get killed. I don't know.
That's a cool hoodie. Did your dad ski in Vermont?
No, he would go to Old Navy and just buy random shit. Old Navy has
like Old Navy.
Yeah, they'll have a shirt that says fucking rubber tire, and you're like, oh, what does that mean?
I hate
That
Old
means
Navy.
literally nothing.
Yeah, I actually, so I showed my shirt earlier. We did a t-shirt episode once. Perhaps that would be something worth revisiting. Part two.
Do the t-shirt and do the Philip Seymour Hoffman tried to fart and a little shit came out.
Yeah, part 2, t-shirt edition. I am running out of, like, I've had my t-shirts for so long that I like don't fit in them anymore, to be honest. And I was like, well, what do I do? I've always had an affinity for t-shirts, and I was like, I'm just gonna fucking order a t-shirt that fits me from my old school, and that's what I did.
Oh, that's fine.
Felt great. I don't know where I was going with that, other than like I identified a problem and I issued a solution, and it was great.
I just found the James Bond shirt that you got me again, because we moved multiple times, and I was finally able to take it out of storage, and it's hanging up in my
nice
kind of closet in the corner.
I'm still disappointed that that's how it turned out, but I'm happy that at least it was a good idea. It was a good idea.
It's a lovely idea.
I just can't believe, you know how it is, like, people that I'm talking to the audience right now, like, you know how it is where you're online and you expect something and you see it and it looks good, and then you get it and you're like, this, I swear to God, is not how I ordered this. Like,
yeah.
So that happened to me. I mean, it's like with Amazon. I obviously fuck Amazon. They're the worst.
Mm-hmm.
But I ordered a shirt and it was like $8. And I was like, I'm going to test this for $8. And I got it, and I was like, this in no way seems representative of what I saw on that photo. You know?
What was the shirt?
It was just a long sleeve like sweatshirt. And it wasn't anything crazy, but it was like it almost felt like European with like the sizing, like it was really small.
Uh-huh.
And it also seemed almost like a washcloth instead of like a shirt, if that makes sense. So I was just like, what in the fuck? And the photo simply did not do it justice. So it was just like, it was like being duped, but also knowing that Amazon, even if it's on Prime, doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be good quality.
Yeah.
Like if it's on Prime, I feel like you're supposed to have more of a safe buyer feeling in you.
Was it fulfilled by Amazon?
It was, I believe so.
Man, that's when you're just like, oh, I'll just send it back.
Oh yeah, I should have. And actually, it's so funny you bring that up. I've never had to return anything really. Like I think I've done it maybe one other time prior to like this last week when I returned 2 things. But I always order things that are really cheap so I don't have to go through the trouble of sending it back, because I don't know how. I've never done it before, and I didn't want to have to figure it out, and it sounded complicated at first glance.
It's really not.
So easy. And having understood that, it's like, man, I know it's only $8, but if I had known that at the time, because this was a few months ago, I would have for sure just returned it, because that's what adults do if things don't fit.
So what was the shirt? Did it have a dick on it and it said "fuck you"?
That's exactly right. It would have been better. Oh, that would have been better. Well,
so anyway, that was the Mark Maron portion of our podcast. We kind of just rant about whatever for a little bit.
Yep.
Most episodes,
Mortal Kombat.
I was gonna say most episodes are that, but
yeah.
Well, you
wouldn't know that because you're not listening, audience, because we don't have a social media presence anymore. We're off the grid. We are literally like, we're like that ship that's breaking ice. We
Titanic?
are breaking ice. No. God, I hope not. Maybe.
We're sinking and we're going to break in half halfway through.
We're those Coast Guard icebreakers. And so we're the first podcast of our kind to not use social media. And then we're going to have a bunch of little like tugboats behind us, like super happy that we're breaking this ice.
Two things. I am still on Instagram and Twitter. Mm-hmm. And it's nice because with those, I don't get sucked in because I kind of go through news a little bit on Twitter, see what people are saying to get both sides of the opinion. But I'm not going to like tweet at people unless it's Donald Trump and say fuck you, but he's gone now, so I don't do that. But Instagram is like just pictures, so you kind of scroll and then you're like, I got to post something, I'm done. Right. And Facebook, you can get sucked in because there's 1,000 different things, and it's designed
like that.
It's designed that way, and I'm really glad I'm off it.
Yep.
That's one. Two, Raise the Titanic. This is a movie that came out in the 80s
Based on a book.
Based on a book by Clive Cussler, I think.
That's correct. With Dirk Pitt. It's a Dirk Pitt adventure.
Yeah, the whole idea.
Brad's brother.
If this was made like now, it would be Tom Cruise playing it, right? It's like the Jack Reacher type thing.
He actually would have been a really good choice for that character, I feel.
This movie is so interesting to me because it's based on the book, but the idea of it is that they're going to raise the Titanic from the ocean floor.
It's literal. Yeah.
It's quite literal. They're bringing it out of the ocean. And they bring it up. They actually, spoiler alert for a fucking movie from the 80s, but they bring it out of the ocean, and
it's written the title. To be fair,
it is. It's intact. It's one whole big ship.
Yeah.
Did they not consult any of the survivors in that whole time to find out that it broke in half?
I believe that it was common knowledge or common thought that it did not break. Actually.
That's crazy.
Like literally, I think that it is possible. Like there were maybe different stories out there.
Your microphone changed again, by the way. I don't know why that happens.
I don't know. It's a piece of shit. It's from Amazon. It really is. I believe that's how everyone thought it went. So when they discovered it was broken in half, they were like, "Oh shit, we fucked that up." And then Clive Cussler was like, "Oh, fuck."
Robert D. Ballard is the one that discovered that it broke in half. And I think they were trying to figure out if it broke in half on the way down or something like that. But in the James Cameron movie, it shows the breaking in half because based on the evidence that it was in two at the ground floor. And then there had to be people that are like, oh, yes, I specifically remember watching this break in two. I mean,
I think... So, okay, first of all, you don't have, of course, pictures at the time, right? And so you're in the middle of a hugely traumatic event in the middle of the night.
Yep.
So it's really dark. I know that, I don't know when the lights went out officially. I feel like it was prior to the...
It's like
breaking in half.
Yeah, right before the breaking.
And then, so you have all these crazy traumatic things going on. And I think like the sound of it breaking could have been mistaken for any number of insane things that you could have perceived it to be.
Uh-huh.
And so I can just kind of I understand how at that time, because everything's just memory and word of mouth and everything just kind of travels and you don't really think about it as like a nation of people aren't going to be immediate first thought, oh, it broke in half. You're going to think, oh, the Titanic sank. Holy fuck. Like it sank as a ship.
I just love the idea of all the rich people in the lifeboat saying, who's lighting off fireworks right now? And it's just the boat just fucking breaking and falling on poor people.
Not to mention it wasn't like a lot of rich people that survived. So they were probably like, oh no, it certainly didn't crack in half. How could that be possible? It's like, it did sink though, right?
This ship was unsinkable. No one was walking around going, this ship is unbreakable.
Yeah, this ship can't break in half.
This ship is Bruce Willis.
Unbreakable.
Yes. Also,
I thought he's Die Hard.
No, unbreakable. He's also afraid of water. All right.
Wow, that's good too.
Man,
where did this come from? Did you recently read this or?
No, because you talked about the Titanic.
I did. When?
Well, breaking ice, and then
breaking ice, and then we were in the Titanic.
Yeah, I just started thinking about Titanic.
I mean, I always find it interesting that, that's such a high concept for a novel or a movie.
Yeah.
And by high concept, I mean I'm kind of more talking to the audience here. Just like one of those crazy ideas you'd have as a child that you actually. And I'm not trying to be a dick. But you can make those ideas work, and I think for the most part it worked for what it was, as far as I remember, because it's hard to do those like super realistically. But it's such a captivating thought, like raise the Titanic.
Well, what's the idea behind, like, why did they want to raise it?
I don't remember. You mean in the book?
Both, I guess.
I think you know what I remember. I believe I actually remember this in the movie. I read the book and I don't remember anything about the book. I read it in like 7th grade. It was like one of the first like thick like novels I had read. And in the movie, it was for national defense, which makes sense because national defense throws money at whatever ridiculous project. And it was something about how the ship had like a safe full of a type of mineral that would aid in a type of national defense, like satellites. It was some kind of. I'm not making this up. I swear. I'm pretty sure this is what it was. It was like a national network of satellites around the U.S. that would pulse a certain type of radio wave that would keep it safe from like, I don't know if it was missile attacks, if it was like hacking or whatever, but it was a specific mineral that could be used for national defense.
That is so fascinating because that would not make it past
God.
a studio executive today. I mean,
everyone was on coke back then.
I would just be like, that's not true though. Like, there's no way that there's a safe filled with that mineral. Yeah, that's just so funny that that's the plot of Raise the Titanic.
Yeah, and then they like inject foam into the
to make it
hole
make it floatable.
Foam, yeah.
Whew.
You gotta work with what you got, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was one of my obsessions as a kid. It was like Titanic, Jurassic Park, Mortal Kombat, which we'll get into. But one of your
so gosh darn bad,
dude. Me too. We'll hit it after the break.
Okay,
but we'll
get over here.
We'll talk about this though, because one of your obsessions as time has gone on, like not childhood obsessions, but like later in life, it's football, because you started the episode by talking about NFL going on.
That's correct. Yes, sorry. There was a sound. Hello?
Kevin.
Anyways, yeah, I did talk about that. So I will briefly talk about this as if there is an introduction. So the NFL draft is today, and it's always a very exciting time because as a Lions fan, we're terrible, right? But when you watch the games, I mean, it makes me physically ill watching games because they're so inept.
Yeah.
And I think it falls on management. But we have a new management team this year. But even regardless of new management teams, even if we had the old regime that was causing my physical illnesses, draft day is like, it's like that scene in Family Guy where he test drove a car so that he could get the brand new boat because that was the prize as long as you came to test drive a car. And then the guy's like, oh, we have a mystery box here. And he's like, but the mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat. Like, you're just full of hope. You don't know what you're going to get. Yeah. And you start building a narrative once the people are drafted that they will be like plug and play guys that will immediately transform the culture, work ethic, and talent level of the team. And so it's referred to as the Lions Super Bowl because it's like the one time where you can just sit back and be like, nice, like this is working good.
This is going to be great.
Yep.
And it's not.
I mean, yeah, exactly. But I'm excited. We're picking 7th. There's a lot of chatter about the amount of quarterbacks going top 10. I'll for sure have a beer available.
Could this be the year that the Lions crush it? I can't understand. Like, I get the idea of like bad management, but I mean, a lot of it's on the players though, isn't it?
I disagree, actually.
So,
I think talented players can get buried under poor communication, poor scheming for game plans, or not even game plans, poor scheming and poor game planning. Those are two separate entities to this situation. I mean, if you don't have the right personnel leading, like you're just not going to get the best out of the people that you have. The new management team that we have assembled, if you ever watch interviews with them, there's Dan Campbell, who's the new head coach, and he literally looks, he's just you should hear him speak. He has this very deep voice. He always has like tobacco in his mouth, so he always has that like drawl sort of thing going on, like that voice. Like you know how you associate a person who chews tobacco with a certain voice, even if they're from like Michigan, they still can't talk like this.
Kev, I have no
like,
idea what you're
Billy
talking
Bob
about.
Thornton.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Get some of them French fried taters.
Is that good still? That movie?
Sling Blade? I don't know. He put glass
Yeah.
in his shoes to walk around, didn't he?
Terrible idea. Just fucking don't do that. Yeah, I think you put Pebbles maybe. Hopefully it wasn't glass. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh no, Pebbles was Dustin Hoffman in Midnight Cowboy, so maybe it was glass for Billy Bob Thornton.
Jesus.
Losers. Just act. It's called acting, my boy.
That's like Jackie was on a podcast called Another Episode Podcast, and they like talked about The Strangers.
Yes. Everyone loved that movie.
It's shit. I watched it with her, and she looked up like trivia about it, and one of the scenes, Liv Tyler ran around like before the shot to be like exasperated, like she was hyperventilating. And then Jackie heard that, and she's like, fucking act. Like, what? Just pretend. Like, that's what you're doing. It's so funny.
It is interesting. I mean, I remember reading stories that they had Craig T. Nelson running around the recording studio of The Incredibles. If you were to do like because he voiced Mr. Incredible, so like after an action scene, then he would be like out of breath.
He can act. He's Craig T. Nelson. Come on.
I know, he's in Coach. I don't know.
It blows my mind. Like, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. So
should we both? Okay, we're gonna go away for the break. Did you have any more to say on NFL?
I mean, obviously this episode's gonna come out after the first day of the draft. The draft is 3 days. It's today, which is Thursday the 29th, and then
it'll come
Friday
out tomorrow,
and Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just throw some bold predictions in there.
Okay.
I think there's going to be 4 quarterbacks that go top 10. I think that the Lions are either A, going to trade back, or B, they are going to draft Penei Sewell, who is an offensive tackle. That is my bold prediction.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope, I'm just excited to see what happens. It's going to be good. Brad Holmes is the GM. I trust him. He's from the Rams. The Rams have drafted very well the last few years.
Well, let's hope that it's good.
Indeed. All right.
Let's take a break, and then we're going to pretend that we went somewhere, and then we're out of breath when we come back.
Okay. Oh, man.
All right.
Fuck it.
We're back.
Oh, my God. Dude.
I had to go fix Kevin's microphone. And fucked him in the butt.
Man. Exhilarating. Woo. Absolutely.
It's crazy.
Oh God, absolutely.
When you're
exhilarating though.
When you're pretending to be hyperventilating, like you've lost a lot of breath, you actually do start to get lightheaded.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm lightheaded now from just pretending like I ran around.
I think that we should definitely let's be acting coaches. Let's send emails specifically to Liv Tyler and Craig T. Nelson. Frank, we're sending it to Craig T. Nelson if you want to take Liv Tyler. I've always wanted to ask him who really directed Poltergeist, so that will be my in.
And I want to ask Liv Tyler who thought it would be a good idea for her to be in her dad's music video.
Isn't she like sort of supposed to be sexy, like her character in that video, and like that's what is weird about it?
You're like, why, what?
Well, I think that they knew Game of Thrones was only 2 decades away from HBO, and they were just like, let's get a jump on this so we can say we were there first. This is an incest joke.
Oh.
I'm for sure that's what that is.
I gotcha. I was like, she's in Lord of the Rings.
I know.
Did Peter Jackson direct Game of Thrones? Yeah.
Hopefully. I wish it would have been better. Okay.
Well,
listen. We need to talk about this. Is that what we're talking about right now? Or something else?
Well, I'll say this. I think it should win Best Film for Oscars next year, because what won this year is a fucking...
Oh, yeah.
it's an abomination on mankind.
Okay, just cut out the football stuff because that's when my mic went out, and instead put this in so that we can. This is before the break. So
no, football is great. We're keeping it all.
So I literally had no idea the Oscars were going on. I was on Reddit. And this is Sunday when the night of, and I saw I'm subscribed to the Simpsons subreddit because it's the greatest show of all time, and someone had this meme where it's Lenny and he's posing with his like fingers to get clasped together and his head bowed and he's concentrating, and it's from an episode where he's at an awards show and everyone thinks he's going to win this award. It's like a really quick, like 2-second joke. Mm-hmm. And so there's a meme that says like everyone's talking about Lenny at the Oscars tonight or something like that. And I was like, shit, like, does that mean they're on tonight? Like I realized it from a Simpsons meme. I only know about 4 of the winners, maybe 7. I like completely, I didn't watch it at all.
Yeah, I didn't either. I didn't
for the first time in a long time. I didn't see any of it.
I had no interest because I had seen a lot of movies during the pandemic, and some were really good, and they didn't get anything.
Yeah.
So,
do you have any examples at all?
No.
I feel like
I have no examples of good movies that deserved it more.
I ask because I feel like there were a couple that were released at the beginning of this whole shebang, and I was like, this is really good, and I cannot, like, Da 5 Bloods, I didn't actually like that much. It was okay.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
I was shocked it didn't get any nominations. I mean, it definitely deserves something, I think.
That's one where it's like, what?
Yeah, and, oh gosh, I don't know.
The who's the actor who played the... Spoiler
Delroy
alert.
Lindo.
Yes. How the fuck did he not get nominated?
Yeah.
Like, wow. Blows my mind.
There was another one like that I was like, come on. Maybe it was last year. It was yeah. I fucking hate. I just don't get. It's so weird to me. I have to try to talk about this. So give me a minute here. The Oscars to me, as I've gotten older, obviously popularity contest, obviously heavily influenced by gift baskets or, like lobbying for your movie to get the Oscars so that your studio gets more recognition.
Yep.
Whatever.
Why does no one talk about those stolen elections?
I know. It honestly.
Like, that's genuinely, yeah.
To be fair, though, it did show, it was refreshing to see that things aren't stolen in that show because Anthony Hopkins won Best Actor, and they deliberately staged it because for Best Actor to be at the end because they thought Chadwick Boseman would be winning, so they could have a loving tribute. So it was kind of cool to see like the spontaneity of that win, but at the same time, like it was so predictable that that's what they thought was going to happen because, of course, that's how things go there. Like, it might not be a lock, but like Green Book's going to win. It might not be a lock, but this garbage shit is going to happen.
That do you know the whole thing with Anthony Hopkins?
I mean, I know he like released a video the next day on Instagram saying
they wouldn't allow him to because he didn't want to go.
Yeah, who would?
But he's like, I'll go to like another place and then zoom in or whatever, and they wouldn't let him connect with his audio. So he was basically sleeping during the thing. So they didn't have him give an acceptance speech. And
they said no Zoom allowed because they didn't want it to be shitty like the Golden Globes. It was still awful.
It's atrocious. This, dude, the Oscars. Here's the thing that I've realized over time. I continually say Oscars don't matter because they don't. But the thing is, they matter to people who have been shut out the entire time. Yeah. Like any group of elite popularity contest or whatever, which is so funny to me because Republicans and conservatives are always just like, oh, the Hollywood liberal elite. And it's like, dude, they fucked over Leonardo DiCaprio for how many years? And that guy is like trying to save the fucking planet single-handedly. It's not as global elite Hollywood liberal as you think. Okay. It's a lot of
he lost those fair and square.
The honestly. Departed?
He wasn't even nominated for The Departed.
That's what I'm saying.
But that was because he was not campaigned for The Departed. He was campaigned for Blood Diamond.
Anyway,
my understanding of that situation is he was like, he didn't want to be campaign for lead actor for The Departed because he said it was an ensemble, and the studio wanted him to get a nomination for something, so they lobbied for him to get nominated for Blood Diamond.
What about The Aviator?
The Aviator, he lost to Jamie Foxx and Ray, which I always thought DiCaprio deserved it over him, but it's also so close. It's a lot like Matthew McConaughey. I thought DiCaprio deserved it over McConaughey for Wolf of Wall Street over Dallas Buyers Club, but at the end of the day, it's hard to argue which one's really better because they're both different performances. I will say, like, an easy example of someone getting robbed. So that's what I mean when I say DiCaprio wasn't really robbed that whole time. Maybe Gilbert Grape. He could have won. That was 94. That would have been, I think Martin Landau won for Ed Wood. Like, that's another one where it's like, I know he did get it because of the legacy of Martin Landau. He'd been in the industry for a number of years, but it's a great performance, and it's hilarious, but it's also very dramatic, and I love that one.
So he won for The Revenant, and who was that up against?
See, the only real competition that I remember was Michael Fassbender for Steve Jobs.
Oh.
So, I guess the one thing, like, if you're looking at performances where it's like someone is really robbed, I still think Eddie Redmayne winning over Michael Keaton is shocking.
Oh, for Birdman and the theory of
horrendous. Absolutely insane.
But, I mean, Shakespeare in Love won over Saving Private Ryan.
That's the easy one that everyone goes for. And that shouldn't have won. I mean, I don't give a fuck what people say. Everyone says it's good. It's like, I get it, but Saving Private Ryan was the best movie that year. I don't care what you say. Like,
Forrest Gump.
Sound like a Republican here, but come on.
Man. Forrest Gump won over Pulp Fiction, right?
I love Forrest Gump though, so that's another one that's like equal to me. Like, I don't really lean one way or the other on that one.
What about Scorsese's career?
I mean,
what did he win it for eventually?
He won for The Departed. A lot of people thought he should have won over Kevin Costner for Goodfellas versus Dances with Wolves.
100%.
I don't agree.
Really?
I mean, I'll say this. I think Costner did a great job with that movie. That movie is really well done. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. This actually brings me back to my original point that I really wanted to get into when we began this conversation, and that is that the Oscars have always tried to maintain a degree of integrity. And what I mean by that is they'll nominate a certain type of movie, right? And most of the time it doesn't bite them in the ass. So, for example, something gritty and independent, like The French Connection, you know? Like, that was peak 70s grimy movie, right?
Yeah.
Or The Godfather, which is like, these are all easy examples of these movies that had never really been done before, but they were epic and they had this thing going on. Then you get a little bit along the line, and Dances with Wolves is a great example of like this epic versus a gangster movie. And so you choose the epic because of, the vastness of the scenery and the cinematography and the storyline and whatever. But then it has gotten to a point where they're trying to maintain this level of integrity, and they try to present it so professionally. Like, they have this aura of professionalism, but it gets chipped away these last few years, especially like these last 3 years, I'd say, or even 4 years have been just so bad. I don't know why. They can't find the right movies to nominate, I feel like, and these epics aren't being made. Dances with Wolves isn't being made anymore. Like, they're not making Braveheart anymore. They're not making these kinds of movies anymore.
Well, it's just so interesting to me because did you see Parasite?
I did. Yeah.
That Parasite to me is one of the best movies I've seen in years.
That was great.
It immediately entered my top 10 list. I mean, Parasite is fucking amazing. So for everything that they'll have that wins, they'll have an Anthony Hopkins while they race bait and use Chadwick Boseman as the fucking poster boy for this whole thing.
I know.
And then they give it to Anthony Hopkins. And it's like, what in the actual fuck are you doing? And then Nomadland won. And we had an episode just tearing that movie apart. Granted, Chloe Zhao, great. She directed it great. I'd say she did a great job doing that and telling the story, but the film is shit. I fucking hated it.
Yeah, I don't even know, directing is, there's a lot that goes on with directing.
Of course.
Right? It's not just like framing. I feel like a lot of it is kind of hung up on like sometimes just like making it look beautiful.
Yeah, that's like a cinematographer. You have the writer. Yeah.
Yep. And I think that the director definitely has a hand in all of that. Mm-hmm. But, they also have control over like performances, editing, story structure, whatever, like a lot of different things. So sometimes it's hard to separate them. I feel like The Revenant won Best Director, and I think it deserved it. It definitely didn't deserve Best Picture, and it didn't win it, and that's fine. But that kind of shows the balance there.
Well, I mean, Gravity won Best Director, didn't win Best Picture.
It was technically precise, but it was very imaginative.
Agreed.
And it was in the framing was terrific. Like all of that was terrific. And I found myself, I thought she would win. I didn't think it was. I think I can see how she won, and she deserved it. Like,
yeah,
if you're nominated for the most part, you really are deserving of the award for the most part. I mean, even though they do pander like crazy with a lot of them, I feel like there's a higher degree of you being nominated, and it makes sense. At least makes sense than anything else. But like the movie was just, it was very well filmed. It looked great, and like it's hard to photograph vistas of the American West poorly. Yeah. I mean, they're all up at Amazon factories talking about like, all right, guys, like let's get to work, package stuff.
And then later she's weird. Like, "Fuck you and your money." And then, but I'm gonna go back to work at Amazon.
Hi guys, so great to be back with you. I was just with my sister, and she's a bitch. Now let's pack some shit, like
just for this season, because my life is cyclical.
And like we still have no idea where that money goes. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize in the book, apparently it kind of lambasts Amazon.
Of course,
it does not at all. And it started making me be like, is this motherfucking, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's not whitewashing. But it's like that, but without race. It's like that with corporations. It's like the corporate equivalent of whitewashing.
I don't know. I don't know if there's a term.
We should make up a motherfucking word. Holy shit.
Make up a word.
Like corporate baiting or something like that. Like,
yeah,
making it seem better than it is, even though, especially if the source material is calling it out.
Well, that's the thing. Like Frances
fucking stupid. She went full frontal, and everyone was like, "Good for her. She's 60. She deserves the award." It's like I get it, but like, God, this movie was not good.
No, it wasn't. I'll be honest. I forgot. I forgot that she went full frontal. I didn't.
Oh yeah. I mean, and I'm not trying to. I hope that didn't come out as like. A criticism. No. I just mean like I feel like sometimes people get caught up in the quote unquote artsiness of it all, or like putting yourself out there. It's like there is, you do that as a performer, and I get that, but if the movie isn't good, then what are we all working towards?
Well, didn't Kathy Bates do the same thing for About Schmidt?
Yes, she did.
I mean,
that movie is one of the best movies I'll never see again. So depressing. Very well done. Very well done.
I'll see it at some point. But what I wanted to say was the book, apparently, of Nomadland, Frances McDormand's character isn't even in that, right?
I have no idea.
I
don't know if I even want to read about it because
the
lifestyle. You know what? Listen, I'm sorry. It's not that I condone it or disagree or agree. I just am not interested. I see what's going on here. They're a bunch of aging hippies, and they don't want to adhere to a societal structure, and they want to go back to smoking hashish and taking acid. And instead of doing it at Woodstock, they're traveling through Arizona. That's fine. I don't give a shit.
If you go back and listen to our episode, you defended that position a lot more because you're talking about how it's like everyone has a different coping mechanism and you can't judge them for that and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, fuck that. Like, you have people trying to help you and you're shutting them out, and I'm supposed to applaud you as the hero of this movie? Fuck you.
I think I stand by those comments. First of all, I'm sort of trying to be funny.
Okay.
I'm kind of being intentionally dismissive, but like, I just, and I do, I get what my old self is saying, because it's true.
Yeah.
We are all, and I think that, that movie did make me feel that. Like, it made me feel very strongly on different levels of how people operate in their daily existence and how they perceive themselves in the world and in society. But yeah, like I guess this is more talking about the book. Like, I can't read a book where it's just a bunch of people doing that. Like, I have no interest to, books take longer,
Yeah,
I just don't feel like investing my time in something like that. If that's what the movie is like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can just see what it's going to be like already. It's going to be so depressing.
What I'm saying, I think the book, I'm sure it's depressing, and that's probably why I won't read it. Also, I don't have a lot of time, but I would say that the book is better than the movie, considering it sounds like it's more honest, and like, I feel like this is what I heard. I don't know if it's true, so don't quote me on this, but the idea of the book is like the bit part characters, like those are the main characters of the book. Mm-hmm. And then she was inserted into this movie to live through, like, you're the audience, right, being her living through all these vector. People. But if you do that, then you no longer have a documentary, which is what this should have been, which now you just have a person that we're supposed to quote unquote root for, I guess. I don't know. I just hated her character, and that is the movie. Yeah.
Speaking of directing, like, the performances were pretty subpar aside from... Yeah,
that's true too.
Like, they're all amateur actors. I don't hold it against them. Like, I don't think it took me out of it too much. It was noticeable, but it didn't take me too out of it. But it was still kind of like... I mean... And this is another thing. It really is about how you perceive this stuff. Some people are going to see that and say, this is so artful because she's using real people. I'm going to look at it and be like, I'm kind of not digging a lot of what's going on here, and I'm unintentionally finding more things to nitpick because I'm not enjoying my experience. And one of those things is these performances are not amazing.
It's just hard. It's just hard to have an Oscar-winning performance next to a normal person. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, hey, yeah, you just gotta, keep on going down the road there. And I know when my son died, I thought we gotta go on the road there. And she's
cut to Frances McDormand just polishing her Oscar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna shit in a bucket.
I don't get it. I like Frances McDormand.
I do too.
I thought great. I know you don't like 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. That's totally fine. I thought she did great in it.
She did. I liked her character more in that. I just hated the idea of to me, that movie was totally all over the place. Like, didn't someone get, like, some guy, like, push a woman up against the wall, threaten to cut her throat or something, and then someone comes in the room and it's like, oh, funny little joke, to, like, try and, like, it was like his like mistress or some shit. I can't remember the movie, but I was like, what the fuck is this?
Oh yeah. It was holy shit, I forgot about that part too, actually.
Yeah.
It was John Hawkes pushes up
Frances McDormand.
I think the joke there was that it was the son that came into the room and saw them like this, and it's so, like, par for the course for his life.
No, it wasn't the son. It was the girlfriend that he now has. Like the whole joke. Right. The whole thing that they were talking about was how young that girl is, mm-hmm. and then she comes in, says something that's supposed to be funny, I guess. But you're like, is this a...
She said, I have to pee, or something like that.
Yeah, and you're like, is this a dark comedy now? What is happening?
It is a dark comedy.
The whole movie's about a rape, so, I mean,
Yeah,
I feel like that movie could have been so much better. And then I watched Wind River. Did you ever watch Wind River?
Oh, yeah, that was good.
That was great. That was the same fucking movie talking about, like, a real actual problem
through the lens Native Americans and reservations.
Yes,
which definitely is an underrepresented portion of American cinema and America.
And that wasn't nominated. All performances were great. Why did everyone rush to love Ebbing, Missouri? 17 billboards outside of Fuckstick, Missouri.
Couple things here, real quick. First of all, Woody Harrelson's whole plot in 3 Billboards is so good. It's so good, and it goes on for half of the movie.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely carries a lot of it.
It does.
And I have to say, at that point, it transitions into being a Sam Rockwell movie. Like, he fills that void.
Yeah.
And I found him to be a compelling character.
Agreed.
So I liked the movie. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. It's like,
yeah.
I liked I didn't think it was tonally inconsistent. I don't think as much as you did. And I found myself like, I get into dialogue, like that dialogue's fake. Like, it's theatrical. It's very theatrical. People don't talk like that. But, people don't talk like Tarantino movies either. And there's a fine line there. It's all about perception again. But that kind of dialogue, if it's done well and it's not too cheesy, like it's not enough for me to be like rolling my eyes all the time, I just get into it. And there's a rhythm to it and I enjoy it.
I just remember like so many parts of that movie just looking at Jackie being like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I think it's so funny because that was me in Nomadland. I was just like, I was just sitting there with Heather, just like, oh, you have to pee? Like, yeah, I'll pause it. I don't give a fuck. We can pause it over and over again. Like, like, while it's paused, let's do a quick word search. like, while it's paused, I'm going to play with my cat because that's more fun. The thing I was going to say, Indian reservations, American Indian reservations are amazing to me. Not in like the fun amazing, but like amazing mind-blowing, because having been born and raised in Michigan, I always was under the assumption that reservations were just absolute poor, crime-ridden, drug-ridden areas.
Yeah.
And Wind River, I believe, lends support to that understanding. But Heather's understanding was that they were full of rich people.
Interesting.
And I was like, you're crazy. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, no, of course that's not true. So she literally drives me through a reservation that's like 40 minutes from where we live, and it is full of mansions. And it's because they're all living off of the casino money.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that there was such variations of what a reservation could look like.
I mean, that's the idea. There's variations between cities, between people, between everything in society. And the fact that you were both raised in two different states, so you saw different things. Like, I was having a conversation with my uncle, and I was trying to explain to him, which I don't know why, but I was trying to explain to him the idea of redlining, and he's like...
That's street racing, right?
No, this isn't...
I literally thought it was...
Fast and the Furious 10, redlining.
There is a movie called Redline that was a knockoff of Fast and Furious.
No, redlining is where the maps are drawn in cities to basically keep black people over here and white people over here. So therefore, if you're redlined out, basically, you don't get money from the city. There's no money coming to your schools or, fucking water in Flint. I mean, come on.
Right.
So I'm trying to explain this to him, and he's like, well, there's no redlining in insert city he knows in Michigan.
Right.
I'm like, motherfucker, like, it's just because you have not seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I don't know how to explain that. But he's like, well, there's no redlining in Coopersville. Motherfucker, I'm sure there is, but also there are no black people in Coopersville.
That's
like,
the
there's
thing.
four of them. I mean,
yeah.
Like, they were redlined out of the fucking city, you idiot. And then later he's like, well, what about Muskegon Heights? I mean, there's a bunch of black people over there. And I'm like, hey, sounds like you just found out what redlining is. You fucking moron.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's just, hopefully he doesn't hear this. I don't give a shit. I'm just so fed up with having to deal with bullshit. But that's exactly the thing. Is like, because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So I'm glad she drove you through a reservation.
Yeah. I mean, it was amazing. It was amazing. Yeah. I mean, and it was like, I never seen, even in like rich, like, white areas.
Oh yeah.
I had not seen houses like this. It was astounding. And it made me kind of proud that the system worked for them, for that specific tribe.
Yeah.
I wish it worked the same for all tribes, of course, but it was nice. Yep. I mean, I hope people understand context when they listen to this. It's just that,
it's 7 of them. They're fine.
it would be nice if that worked for everyone, because it looked like in some small way it worked in that specific circumstance.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at it too. Like, let's say you're, a Native Indian that works at a casino, but you don't live on the reservation. Like, so you're poor, but you still work there. Like, there's that story as well.
That's what I was kind of curious about, is like how I think it must be different tribes negotiate different types of deals, I would imagine.
I'm sure. There's going to be the upper 1% of Native Indians that, own reservations, or not own the reservation, but own, stake in a casino.
That's what confuses me, is I thought they all had, I thought everyone that was a member of the tribe would have the opportunity to have a share or some kind of stake in a casino. And that's why
I'm sure it's state to state kind of thing. Like, they couldn't federally, mandate lockdowns, but they can federally suggest masks,
Right.
Like, there's no federal mandate on whatever. There's state by state.
I would love, if anyone listening has a recommendation on how to investigate this further.
Yes,
the differences
please.
between, like, state to state reservations and why some are poor and some are rich. I find it very fascinating. I just don't get how you'd think, as a layman, you'd think there'd be some sort of unification nationwide that would allow everyone to get a piece of the pie. But obviously that's not the case.
Well, I mean, you can look at that with, we talked about Amazon earlier. I mean,
yes, that's just the world.
Maybe these rich reservations have, bank accounts in the Cayman Islands, and that's how, I don't know. If people know, that'd be great.
We need to talk about Mortal Kombat, because I only have 20 minutes. I need to get set up 15 minutes in advance. I'll stretch it to 10 minutes in advance. I just am not missing a single minute of this thing.
Okay.
So
let's do it.
Here's the thing. Let's jump in for 5 minutes. So Mortal Kombat is an amazing movie. I'd like to describe my experience with it, and then if you'd like to describe it, we'll do like a Roger Ebert thing, Gene Siskel thing. And whoa, I'm getting wings. She's what wings I want. When did you leave? Are you still here? Hello? Oh, she's here still.
Oh, okay. Well, we're not going to talk about Mortal Kombat on this episode.
I fucking loved it. I really liked it.